Chapter 306, I want to hear it from your lips. The corner of Jan Yun's mouth twitched. For some reason, a strange feeling welled up in her heart when she called her wife. Damn it. Turn your face away. I want to wear clothes. Don't turn. Huo Liancheng put down his phone. He crossed his arms and looked at Jan Yun. There was a smile on his handsome face. He looked like a rogue. Whatever. Jan Yun glanced at Huo Liancheng and lifted her chin, indicating for him to look at the pajamas at the end of the bed. Help me take off my clothes. Huo Liancheng extended his arm and passed Jan Yun's clothes to her. Then he stared at her calmly. After Jan Yun received the clothes, she immediately made a face at Huo Liancheng. Then, she slipped into the blanket. She put on the blanket and quickly put on her pajamas. When Huo Liancheng reached out to take off the blanket, she had already jumped off the other side of the bed and ran away. Bad girl. Huo Liancheng was amused by Jin Yun, who was as agile as a rabbit. He rushed over and picked her up at the waist and kissed her fiercely. Only then did he say with a cold snort, You lied to me that you don't have strength. From the looks of it, you can easily run 10,000 meters. I would rather run 10,000 meters than do that, Jin Yun secretly muttered to herself. What did you say? Huo Liancheng frowned. Although he did not hear what Jan Yun said, he heard the key words. Nothing. Jan Yun did not dare to say. It was said on the internet that it would damage a man's self-esteem. She quickly narrowed her eyes and kissed Huo Liancheng back. She smiled and said, I need to wash my face and change my clothes. I still need to put on makeup. I cannot dawdle or I will be late. Huo Liancheng put Jan Yun down and did not ask any more questions, but he still remembered what she just said in his heart. Jan Yun changed her clothes, washed up, and put on light makeup. She noticed that Huo Liancheng had warmed up the milk and bread. She walked over and sat down, praising him generously. I really can't tell that Mr. Huo you are a good wife and a good mother. Huo Liancheng looked at Jan Yun's clothes. Why don't you wear the clothes I chose for you? Ah. Jan Yun took a bite of bread and looked at Huo Liancheng in confusion. When did you choose clothes for me? Why didn't I know? Huo Liancheng frowned. Have you never been in the cloakroom before? The cloakroom? Your cloakroom? I've been in it before. It's all your clothes. Jan Yun drank a mouthful of milk. Idiot. Huo Liancheng stood up and pulled Jan Yun, who was still drinking milk, towards the cloakroom. Jan Yun saw Huo Liancheng push the mirror that was hanging all over his clothes away. The cabinet moved away, revealing another space. Inside was still a cloakroom. It was extremely big, but it was full of women's shoes. All kinds of accessories. When did you get it? Jan Yun looked around and her eyes were dazzled. She had a question mark because she did not know this place at all. The second day you lived here? Huo Liancheng rolled his eyes at Jan Yun unhappily. Why didn't you tell me? Jan Yun asked. Jan Yun was also depressed. There was no woman who did not like fancy clothes. If she had known that Huo Liancheng would prepare clothes for her, she would have definitely soaked in it to try out clothes every day. I thought you would find out about this yourself. Then, you came over excitedly to throw yourself into my arms and give me a hug. Huo Liancheng picked out a floral dress and passed it to Jan Yun. Change this. Jan Yun curled her lips and reached out to take the dress. She wrinkled her nose and said proudly, Stop dreaming. I will not throw myself into your arms just because of a few clothes. Can't you just say something nice? Huo Liancheng scratched Jan Yun's nose. Jan Yun could not help laughing. Ha, you go out first. I will change my clothes. I have already seen what should be seen and should not be seen. What are you shy about? Huo Liancheng narrowed his eyes and said. Jan Yun's face became hot again. Her eyes turned sideways and she said coquettishly, But I am still not used to it. Either you turn around. Huo Liancheng raised his sword-like brows and hugged his arms, not moving. Jan Yun had no choice but to pretend that she could not see him and started to change her clothes. While she comforted herself, she looked like she was not wearing anything. At least, she still had underwear. The zipper of the dress was on her back. Jan Yun was trying her best to reach it. A big hand reached over and pulled the zipper for her. Then he naturally hugged her from behind and his soft and low voice rang in his ear. When will you be willing to say that you love me? At this time, Jin Yun was standing in front of the mirror. Her height was only a little above Huo Liancheng's shoulder. Tall and petite, masculine and delicate, a strong contrast. However, she gave people a strong feeling of excitement. Jan Yun's face was still red. She put her hands on Huo Liancheng's big hands and her face was full of uneasiness. Her voice was like a mosquito's cry. It's fine as long as you know. Why do you have to say it? I want to hear you say it yourself. Otherwise, I won't be at ease. Huo Liancheng kissed Jan Yun's face. Jan Yun looked into Huo Liancheng's eyes in the mirror and smiled. She was a little speechless. If you want to say that you don't feel at ease, it should be me. What is there to be worried about? You've always been a heartless person. You can't differentiate good from bad. You'll believe whatever others say. No matter how much I say, I'll lie to you. When did you ever show that you're not at ease? Huo Liancheng sneered. Jan Yun's face turned green when she heard this. She suddenly turned around and faced Huo Liancheng. She said angrily, Huo Liancheng, who do you think is heartless? You. Huo Liancheng pointed his index finger at Jin Yun's head. No way, I have always been so intelligent. Jin Yun retorted angrily. Don't you know how to blush? Huo Liancheng smiled. In some ways you are smart, in some ways you are stupid. How could you be fooled? Jinyu knew Huo Liancheng would mention Shu Haiyang again. She was embarrassed and angry, but she had no words to refute him, so she took advantage of Huo Liancheng's lack of attention and ruthlessly stepped on him. She turned around and ran away. I don't even care about you today. Huo Liancheng looked at Jian Yun's back and could not help but laugh. Very good. The current her was no longer as timid as before. Instead, she was as bright and lively as when he first met her. This was the beautiful young girl that he could not forget in his memory. Jian Yun did not want to talk to Huo Liancheng, but the problem was that she did not have a car. If she wanted to go to the company, she had to take his car with her. Otherwise, if she ran to the bus station and took the subway, it would be too late. She could not be late on the first day of work, could she? Jian Yun was very conflicted, but then she reached for the car keys. This was the Ferrari supercar that Huo Liancheng had given her earlier, but she had never driven out alone because he had been despised by her. When Huo Liancheng took the briefcase out of the study room, he heard the sound of the door closing. He raised his eyebrows and turned to look at the drawer where he kept the car keys. The corner of his mouth immediately lifted. It was not Jian Yun's first time driving a supercar. It did not take long for her to become familiar with it. It was just that she did not dare to drive too fast. When she arrived at the company, it was the peak of work. This flashy supercar naturally caused a bathe. Some people directly drove to the underground parking lot. Jian Yun only drove this supercar out because she was angry. She did not expect to be watched. After parking the car, she saw that the people around her also got out of the car. They all surrounded her and pointed at her. She could not help but hold her forehead and sigh. Someone took out his phone and took pictures of the car. Jian Yun hesitated for a while but still took her bag and drove the car under the door. When Jian Yun got out of the car, the onlookers gasped. So beautiful. Who is this? Is this the Ming's? Why have I never seen him before? Chapter 307 Spectator. I don't think she's an employee. Look, she's wearing a custom-made XX this summer. This dress alone is half a year's salary for us. Oh my god, this dress is so expensive. But it really looks good. There are also shoes, Wang Liao said. I have been looking at these high heels for a long time, but they are too expensive and I can't bear to buy them. They are so well dressed. Could this beauty be the daughter of the Mings, or is she the daughter of the Bai family? There aren't many people in Qinghu City who can afford custom-made clothes. Jian Yun heard these discussions as soon as she got off the car. The corner of her mouth twitched. She should have thought that with Huo Liancheng's taste, he would definitely wear custom-made clothes. It seemed that she would not be able to wear the clothes he chose when she went to work in the future. When the people around saw Jian Yun get out of the car and keep following behind her, Jian Yun did not want to pay attention to them. So she lowered her head and walked away. At this time, she heard the voices of the female employees behind her. Why haven't I seen Poxens? Could it be some new design? It looks very ordinary, like something that costs $100 in Taobao. Another woman said. Wrong. The more famous a treasure is, the simpler it looks. With my many years of research experience, I bet that this bag is definitely worth a lot, at least 100,000 starting price. When Jian Yun heard this, she immediately staggered and almost tripped over her right foot with her left foot. At the same time, she felt a flock of crows flying over her head. Then, she silently looked at the expensive bag that she bought with 60 yuan from a certain treasure and felt that she should blush a little. Forget it, she should hurry up and leave. Jian Yun sighed and quickly quickened her pace and walked forward. It was the peak of work and there were many people waiting at the elevator. However, Jian Yun did not even think about it and directly entered the CEO exclusive elevator. The moment the elevator door closed, she saw the shocked faces of the people looking at her outside the door. Only then did she realize that this elevator was specially used by Huo Liancheng. Other than him and Cheng Mu's, no one in the company dared to use this elevator. Jian Yun could not help but. Jian Yun went into the CEO exclusive elevator, and there were already people who recognized her outside the door. Isn't this Jian Yun from the Human Resources Department? Yeah, I also feel like she changed her hairstyle and did not dare to recognize her for a while. Isn't she not well off at home? Why did she suddenly get branded? Look at her outfit. We can't even afford a year's salary. Some people started to talk sour. Yeah, I heard from Xiao Li from the Human Resources Department that she resigned because her mother was seriously injured and was hospitalized. She had no money to treat illnesses. Some people even saw her crying alone in the hospital. I don't know why, but the company didn't let her resign. They even promoted her and became the secretary of Special Assistant Chen in the CEO's office. It was different with President Huo. I guess the salary has increased quite a bit. The person who spoke sounded sour and ambiguous. He deliberately led everyone to think about Huo Liancheng. When everyone heard this, they immediately revealed a look of understanding. Each and every one of them had a profound smile on their faces. So she had climbed up a high branch. No wonder she ignored everyone when she saw them now. The elevator door had just opened when Jian Yun saw a person standing in front of the door. It was Huo Liancheng. She was shocked. Didn't you go out later than me? Huo Liancheng curled his lips and came over to pull Jian Yun. With your speed, do you want to drive a supercar or a tractor? That reminds me. I don't want to drive your car out in the future. It's too eye-catching. I'll go buy a car. Jian Yun nodded. Huo Liancheng held her hand and she let him pull her forward. You want to buy a car? Huo Liancheng turned to look at Jian Yun. Yes, I used to live near the subway station. It doesn't matter if there's a car or not. The place you live in now is too remote. It's really inconvenient without cars. Jian Yun looked left and right. There were people walking around in the secretary's office. She quickly pulled her hand out of Huo Liancheng's big hand. Huo Liancheng frowned and looked at Jian Yun. After work, I will accompany you to look at the car. I will drive you. Jian Yun heard and quickly waved her hand. No, I don't want to go with you. Huo Liancheng narrowed his eyes, a dangerous glint in his eyes. Jian Yun pouted. She muttered, I don't want a good car. Just a normal car is enough. If you come with me, you definitely won't like it. You still want to buy a car that you know I don't like? Huo Liancheng was not happy. Jian Yun blinked her big eyes and decided not to argue with Huo Liancheng. This guy was unreasonable. Jian Yun and Huo Liancheng were staring at each other when Chen Mu's voice came from the side. What are you talking about? Why are you standing here? Huo Liancheng glanced at Chen Mu's and turned to enter the office. Chen Mu's looked at Jian Yun innocently. Did I say something wrong? Why is fourth brother staring at me? Jian Yun shrugged and pursed her lips into a smile. She put her bag on the desk and asked Chen Mu's, What do I want to do? Chen Mu's did not answer Jian Yun's question. Instead, he looked at her clothes and praised her. Sister Jian, these clothes are so beautiful. They look so good on you. As soon as the clothes were mentioned, Jian Yun's face fell. Don't mention it. I was just watched from below. Right now, the company must be spreading the news about me being close to a tycoon. Why bother with those people? They are naked jealous. Chen Mu shrugged and suddenly changed the topic. He smiled and said, By the way, my aunt asked me to pass this to you. Chen Mu pointed at the big box on the desk and signaled Jian Yun to take a look. What is this? Jian Yun walked over curiously and opened the box. She was stunned when she saw it because the big box contained all kinds of snacks. They were all in foreign languages. Clearly, they were imported. Aunt specially asked someone to deliver them from Europe. She said that you like to eat, and even told you to remember which you like, and then get someone to send them to you. Cheng Muzi smiled and said, Sister Jian, it looks like Aunt likes you very much. Jian Yun heard him and picked up a box of chocolates. She was suddenly a little stunned. Granny Liao actually remembered the taste she liked to eat. Here, do you want to give Aunt a call? Cheng Mu's handed over a phone. Jian Yun looked down and hesitated for a moment before she picked it up. The phone was dialed, and the other side picked it up very quickly. It was Granny Liao's angry voice. Stinking brat, have you done what I asked you to do? Did you give the things to Yun? Granny Liao, it's me. Jian Yun felt her nose ache when she heard Granny Liao's voice again. Yun, you're at work? Granny Liao's hearty laughter sounded. Did you get the thing? Do you like it? Remember what good food it is. I'll get someone to bring it back to you. Granny Liao, thank you. Jian Yun pulled her nose and said in a muffled voice. Chapter 308, White Lotus. You still call me Granny Liao? We're a family, so you're treating me as an outsider? Also, speaking of which, I'm going to get angry. You ran away with Liancheng and didn't even give Grandma a call. Grandma is very sad. Granny Liao kept nagging. Clearly, she was very happy to receive Jian Yun's call, but her tone suddenly became sad. I'm sorry, Granny Liao, Jian Yun hurriedly wanted to apologize. It was not that she did not want to call, but after she came back, Huo Liancheng did not let her call, but she could not say these words. If she said it, she would be suspected of inciting the relationship between Huo Liancheng and Granny Liao. Jian Yun paused for a moment and did not know how to explain. At this time, a big hand reached out from behind Jian Yun and picked up the phone. Huo Liancheng's voice also immediately sounded. Grandma, didn't I call you before? Who wants to call you? I don't care about your phone. I care about Yun. Granny Liao snorted. The tone of the phone was a bit loud, so Jian Yun and Cheng Mu's both heard Granny Liao's words. They almost looked at Huo Liancheng's face at the same time. When they saw someone's cold expression, they lowered their heads and held back their laughter. She is my wife. Huo Liancheng snorted coldly and said coldly, If you don't care about me, I won't let her call you. Jian Yun's mouth twitched when she heard that. Why was she like a child? She quickly pulled Huo Liancheng's sleeve. Give it to me. Huo Liancheng did what he said. He said goodbye to Granny Liao and hung up the phone. Hello, I haven't told Grandma yet. Jian Yun pouted unhappily. Come in with me. Huo Liancheng pushed the phone to Cheng Mu's and pulled Jian Yun's hand to his office. What are you doing? He asked. I need to work. Jian Yun looked around nervously, afraid that she would be seen. Huo Liancheng ignored Jian Yun and pulled her into the office. Once the door was closed, he immediately kissed her. Wah! Jian Yun pushed him away and frowned. What are you doing? You look like a lecher. You haven't kissed me since this morning. Huo Liancheng looked at Jian Yun and lifted his hand to hug her chin as he said seriously. Jian Yun face-palmed and a row of black lines slid down her forehead. She could not help but say, "Aren't you tired of us being together every day?" "Not." Wu Liancheng smiled and pointed at his mouth. "Hurry up." Jian Yun knew that if she did not satisfy him today, Wu Liancheng would pester her every day, so she stood on her tiptoes and kissed Wu Liancheng quickly. "No, how can you be so perfunctory?" Wu Liancheng was dissatisfied. "This is an office. Can you avoid it?" Jian Yun said helplessly. "Hurry up, or someone will come later." Wu Liancheng ignored Jian Yun's words and still pointed at his mouth, insisting that Jian Yun take the initiative to kiss him. Jian Yun had no choice but to stand on her tiptoes again. Her hands hooked around Wu Liancheng's neck and gave him a sweet kiss. Only when Wu Liancheng was finally satisfied did he let Jian Yun out, but just as Jian Yun sat down, she saw Cheng Muzi pointing at her mouth. She quickly found a cosmetic mirror, and only then did she realize that her lip makeup was all messed up and her mouth was slightly swollen. Jian Yun covered her face. She felt that she did not have the face to look at the vulgar smile on Cheng Muzi's face. The morning work was finished in an orderly manner. Before lunch break time, Jian Yun received a call from Wu Wenjing. "Jian Yun, what did you do today? Why is everyone in the company talking about you? Why are you still talking about the rich?" Wu Wenjing squatted in the toilet and talked to Jian Yun on the phone while squatting in the bathroom. "Let's have lunch together. You'll know when you see me." Jian Yun sighed helplessly. People's words were really frightening. It was so quickly spread that everyone knew that she was being kept. "Okay, shall we go to the canteen to eat? Then I'll wait for you." Wu Wenjing was really curious now. "Come quickly." After ending the call with Wu Wenjing, Jian Yun found that the phone rang again. This time it was Wu Liancheng. "Are you really not going to eat with me?" "Yes, you eat in the canteen. If I go and be seen by others, everyone will definitely discuss even more. I will go and look for Wu Wenjing." Jian Yun was previously called in by Wu Liancheng to ask her to go to his exclusive restaurant at noon and was rejected by her. "Okay, I have to go out in the afternoon. Wait for me after work," Wu Liancheng instructed. "Okay." Jian Yun heard Wu Liancheng's gentle words and felt a sweetness in her heart. Ming's staff cafeteria. Jian Yun came early, but there were already many people in the cafeteria. The moment Jian Yun entered, she immediately attracted the attention of almost everyone. The reason was none other than because she was too dazzling. She was originally pretty, her eyebrows were black, and her eyes were bright and full of spirit. It was just that she had deliberately concealed herself in the past. She always wore black-framed glasses, and the way she dressed was also ordinary, so she was not that eye-catching. But now, she was bright and moving. Her originally bright eyes were like two streams of spring water. As her eyes moved, it was almost touching to the soul. In addition, after dressing up a little, her clothes were beautiful, her hair was beautiful, and her makeup was exquisite. Now, it was difficult for Jian Yun not to be noticed. "Hey Jian Yun, here." Wu Wenjing also saw Jian Yun and quickly stood up to wave her hand. Jian Yun walked over and just as she sat down, Wu Wenjing kept praising her. "No wonder you said that I understood the moment I saw you. It really is like this. This dress is custom made by a big brand, right? It's so beautiful. No wonder those people would say that you were wrapped up by someone. Yeah, I'm bored to death." Jian Yun held her face with both hands, her mood waning. "Who cares what they say? Can't we just have a clear conscience?" Wu Wenjing winked at Jian Yun ambiguously and asked very curiously. "Jian Yun, tell me honestly, how many of these clothes do you have?" "One room." Jian Yun answered honestly. "One room full." Wu Wenjing immediately let out a sound of envy, jealousy, and hatred. "Jian Yun, I am jealous of you." "What's there to be jealous of?" Jian Yun rolled her eyes at Wu Wenjing. The two of them were talking when she suddenly heard someone sneering beside them. "Yeah, what's there to be jealous about? She's just a slut who was wrapped up by someone. This kind of money comes from dirty work. She relies on selling to earn money, yet she still dares to say that she has a clear conscience? Haha, this is the most shameless thing I heard this year." The one who spoke was Xia Bingbing. She was still wearing branded clothes and high heels. Her makeup was so delicate that she did not look like a real person. But at this moment, the expression on her face was mean and sharp. Her eyes that contained hatred glared fiercely at Jian Yun. However, Jian Yun did not pay attention to her. She was looking at the person behind Xia Bingbing. It was a woman, and it was the person she knew, Lin Lanlan. Lin Lanlan was also looking at Jian Yun. She was still wearing a white dress. Her long black hair, slender figure, and the makeup on her face was very light. It made her entire person look pure and elegant. If she did not know her character, Jian Yun would probably feel that this woman was like a white lotus, harmless to humans and animals. Chapter 309, Your Father Became Her Father. However, Jian Yun knew Lin Lanlan very well. She knew very well how shameless Lin Lanlan was hiding under her white lotus-like appearance. With just a glance, Jian Yun looked away. She had once sworn to Lin Lanlan that if possible, she hoped that she would never have any more interactions with this woman in this lifetime. However, things usually did not go according to her expectations. This time, they met again. "Jian Yun, are you okay?" Lin Lanlan deliberately suppressed the jealousy in her heart when she saw Jian Yun's outfit. A gentle smile appeared on her face. She walked past Xia Bingbing and greeted Jian Yun. Jianyun did not speak, but Xia Bingbing suddenly turned her head and asked sternly, "Do you guys know each other?" Lin Lanlan smiled. She looked around and saw that many people were paying attention to this side. A dark light flashed in the corner of her eyes and deliberately said, "Yes, we are classmates from primary school to university. Furthermore, and you are a white lotus flower who likes to snatch things from people, especially from people's boyfriends." Wu Wenjing really could not stand Lin Lanlan's pretentious appearance. She immediately sneered and looked at Xia Bingbing from the corner of her eyes. "I say, Manager Xia, you must be careful. The woman beside you is a famous white lotus. Back then when she went to Qing University, she used her own connections to pay for it. She even went to university. Now she has suddenly returned to the sea. Oh right, her favorite thing is to steal someone's boyfriend. You have to be careful when you play with her. In the end, your boyfriend became her boyfriend, and your dad became her dad. Don't blame me for not reminding you." Wu Wenjing, what nonsense are you talking about? When Lin Lanlan heard these words, she immediately became extremely angry, and her small face turned red. She did everything she could to enter the Mings. These few days, it was not easy for her to establish a good relationship with Xia Bingbing. Now Wu Wenjing wanted to incite their relationship just by saying a few words to others. It was truly detestable. There were not many people in the canteen yet. However, in a company like this, there was no lack of gossipers. Wu Wenjing's words would definitely spread in the company in less than half a day. Originally, she wanted to use Xia Bingbing's hands to embarrass Jianyun. In the end, she did not expect to actually be counterattacked. It really angered her to death. Do you think I will believe you?" Xia Bingbing looked at Wu Wenjing with surprise in her eyes, but her mouth was still very hard. "It's up to you whether you believe me or not." Wu Wenjing shrugged and looked around. Suddenly she pointed at a few people not far away and said, "Actually, there are a lot of graduates from Qing University in Mings. You can ask those people who graduated from the same batch as us, and you will know. Am I talking nonsense? After all, this woman was very famous in the Qing University." Wu Wenjing deliberately smiled when she said that, and then fanned the two people in front of her like she was chasing away flies. "This is the canteen. Why are you always standing in front of us? Let's go, let's not make us lose the mood to eat." "Jianyun, are you just letting your friend talk nonsense to someone?" Lin Lanlan was so angry that she clenched her fingers and glared at Jianyun. "Why are you staring at me?" Jianyun, who had been silently watching the show, immediately put on an innocent look. It was she who said it. Her mouth also has her body. If you have the ability, go and argue with her. Actually, Jianyun really did not want to talk about these ugly things in the family and the company, but she also understood. Even if she did not say it, Lin Lanlan would definitely distort the truth and make it worse. So now that Lin Lanlan had come to provoke them, she was not afraid of losing all decorum. Lin Lanlan clearly did not expect Jianyun to have an indifferent look. Didn't she mind being mentioned about those two things the most in the past? Seeing that there were more and more people in the canteen, Lin Lanlan rolled her eyes and suddenly lowered her voice and said, "Jianyun, I know it was my fault back then. I should not have talked to Shu." "Stop." Jianyun knew Lin Lanlan quite well. She knew that she was pretending to be pitiful again and was about to bring up the old matter again. So she rudely interrupted her. "I don't want to mention the past matter again. You don't need to say anything to apologize. After all, I still need to thank you." When she said this, Jianyun smiled. Lin Lanlan was stunned. "Thank me? That's right. Thank you for taking the scumbag away from my life. Otherwise, how would I have the chance to meet a better man?" Jianyun sneered and said, "I still say that you and Shu Haiyang are very compatible, so I wish you and him a white head until you grow old." Lin Lanlan's face immediately turned white when she heard that. Suddenly, it turned into the color of sauce. It was enough to show how much jealousy and hatred she had in her heart at this moment. "There are many empty seats here. Please don't stand in front of me, it will affect my appetite," Jianyun said impolitely. Lin Lanlan bit her lips and her straight back stiffened. She did not say a word and turned to leave. Xia Bingbing originally wanted to say something, but suddenly her eyes turned. She looked at Lin Lanlan and also followed. "Bitch." Wu Wenjing spat at Lin Lanlan's back. "Why are you talking so much to her?" Jianyun ate a mouthful of food that Wu Wenjing made for her and was a little bored. She simply put down her chopsticks. Wu Wenjing fiercely ate a few mouthfuls of food before saying, "Jianyun, I'm afraid you don't know. Lin Jian came to the Mings for a week or so, and many people already know about your relationship. There are people who specially came to ask me if she is your half-sister." Jianyun heard this, and her eyelids immediately jumped. She actually has the face to say these? This mother and daughter are already shameless. I feel that her purpose of coming to the Mings is not simple. Did she know you and... Wu Wenjing paused for a moment and subconsciously looked around. Although many people in the Mings were spreading the news that Jianyun had been wrapped up by Huo Liancheng, no one dared to say it in person until now. Therefore, Wu Wenjing could not say it openly. She was afraid that people would hear it. Jianyun nodded. "We met her at the hospital." Wu Wenjing curled her lips. "I knew it. She must have taken a fancy to your President Huo and wanted to do bad things again. Jianyun, you have to be careful this time. Jianyun frowned and subconsciously wanted to say that Huo Liancheng would not take a fancy to a woman like Lin Lanlan. But she thought about it. Back then, Xu Haiyang had such a good relationship with her, but in the end, he could not control his lower body and was hooked by Lin Lanlan. So this time, she really had to be careful. Don't take it seriously. No matter how good a man is, he can't bear to throw himself into the arms of a woman. Wu Wenjing ate her meal in large gulps as she said indistinctly, I know. Jianyun nodded seriously. She thought that she had to find an opportunity to talk to Huo Liancheng properly. By the way, are you free on the weekend? What? Wu Wenjing looked up. I'm going to buy a car. Come with me. Jianyun ate 2 more mouthfuls of rice but still felt that it was bad and decided not to eat. Okay, is your President Huo going? Is he not going to give you a car? By the way, the limited edition Ferrari in the morning belonged to President Huo? Don't you have a car to drive? Why do you still want to buy a car? Wu Wenjing kept asking a series of questions. It's too eye-catching. He has a lot of cars, but other than sports cars and business cars, it's better for me to keep a low profile. Jianyun said. Chapter 310. Show them their marriage certificate. You're the only one wearing it. Do you still want to keep a low profile? Can you keep a low profile? Wu Wenjing sneered. If it wasn't for our many years of schoolmates relationship, I would have started to envy you. Save it. It's not like you don't know my relationship with him. Jianyun curled her lips and said with great interest. In fact, even though her relationship with Huo Liancheng had progressed very quickly, she still had a feeling of unease in her heart. She kept feeling that something was going to happen. To be honest, the company is spreading the news about you and President Huo. Does President Huo know about it? Wu Wenjing hesitated for a moment and asked, How would I know if he knows? Jianyun was speechless. Just say it. We can't control someone else who has a long mouth. It's just that those words are a little harsh. Jianyun, now everyone is guessing how long your preservation period is and when you will be abandoned. Wu Wenjing said in a dilemma. Jianyun's mouth twitched. Why is it so bad? They are jealous of you. Actually, they said that your people would definitely want to replace you and be chosen by President Huo. Wu Wenjing sneered. It doesn't matter. Just do your own thing. Jianyun shrugged. To her, she really could not care about the leisurely talk of the crowd. However, after work, when Jianyun got into the car that Huo Liancheng was waiting for at the door, Huo Liancheng still found that her expression was not right. He asked, What is it? Jianyun leaned against the window and pointed outside. Look, we are being watched again. Huo Liancheng looked outside and frowned. Someone is talking about you? Yes. Jianyun turned her head and giggled. Now everyone in the company is talking about me being exposed to your unspoken rules. Huo Liancheng narrowed his eyes. Haven't you clarified it yet? Clear what? Jianyun looked at the driver in the front row and then looked at Huo Liancheng with a grin. You said that I am not an unspoken rule but a woman that you keep as your mistress? Huo Liancheng also smiled when he heard that. He reached out and scratched Jianyun's nose. It's good that you don't feel wronged. What should I feel wronged about? Jianyun grabbed Huo Liancheng's big hand and clasped her fingers with him. Anyway, even if we were in a relationship, no one would believe us. Then just throw away the marriage certificate, Huo Liancheng said. Jianyun's expression changed. No. Huo Liancheng was unhappy. Why not? Anyway, I can't. Jianyun looked at the driver. Although she knew that the people around Huo Liancheng were reliable, she was still shocked for some reason. She was afraid that their marriage would be publicized. What are you worried about? Huo Liancheng held Jianyun's hand tightly and asked in a deep voice. Jianyun was startled and suddenly did not know what to say. Huo Liancheng did not say anything. The two of them returned home in silence. After entering the house, Huo Liancheng went to the study room and Jianyun cooked. She had just taken out the dishes that Auntie bought in the morning from the fridge when she felt someone hugging her from behind. The kiss was caught off guard. Jianyun only felt her entire body was enveloped by Huo Liancheng's unique aura. She looked up to take his kiss. His kiss was as domineering as before, and the more he kissed, the deeper it became. Jianyun felt that she was about to lose her breath, so Huo Liancheng let her go. Even though Huo Liancheng let go of Jianyun's lips, he still gently kissed her face, and the corners of her lips seemed to be unable to kiss enough no matter what. Jianyun looked up at him. Her big black eyes were watery, like black gemstones raised in water. They were bright and dazzling. Are you afraid that our relationship will be made public? Huo Liancheng asked. Jianyun hesitated for a moment before replying softly. Yes. Tell me why. Huo Liancheng stared into Jianyun's eyes. He saw that she did not speak for a long time and did not look at him. He could not help but ask coldly. Is it because you do not love me and want to leave me that you do not want others to know? It is not like that. Jianyun suddenly looked up and anxiously said, I don't want to leave you. Huo Liancheng's eyes softened. He hugged Jianyun tightly and suddenly said, So, you are afraid that my family will know that they will oppose us? Jianyun heard this and her entire body trembled. She bit her lips as if she wanted to refute Huo Liancheng, but before she opened her mouth, Huo Liancheng had already pressed her lips. Your eyes have already told me. Jianyun's eyes flashed and she lightly sighed. She did not want to discuss this topic at this time, so she said, I will go and cook first. Hu Liancheng pulled Jianyun back and said in a deep voice, Didn't you tell me earlier that as long as you truly love each other, you are willing to fight for it? Jianyun's footsteps paused and she turned back to look at Hu Liancheng. Then what about you? Will you never betray me? However, just as she said this, Jianyun burst into laughter. No need to answer. I don't even dare to believe that I will always love someone. All right, I will go and cook. Do you need help? Hu Liancheng's eyes were very deep. He fixed his gaze on Jianyun and did not say anything. He just nodded his head. Jianyun saw that Hu Liancheng did not answer that eternal question. She actually secretly heaved a sigh of relief because she knew very well in her heart. Regardless of whether his answer was yes or not, it seemed like she would not believe it now. The real eternal still needed time to appraise it. The two of them chose vegetables and stir-fried vegetables together, just like a couple who loved each other. They had a tacit understanding. After the meal, they each busied themselves with their own matters. Hu Liancheng continued to work in the study, while Jianyun took a shower and went back to her room. She called Wu Yangfei, and then she had a video call with Luo Yanyan and Wu Wenjing. Luo Yanyan had been in a good mood these 2 days. In the video, she was talking and laughing. She also told Jianyun and Wu Wenjing was not in a good mood tonight. When Jianyun asked, she stuttered and said that her old classmate who worked in the film company had confessed to her. The three of them chatted for a long time until Hu Liancheng pushed open the door and came in. Jianyun then hung up the video call. Are you done? Jianyun saw Hu Liancheng's tired face and quickly walked over to touch his face. Hu Liancheng grabbed Jianyun's hand and kissed her on the lips. Why do you guys have so much to talk about? Jianyun blinked, and only after a long time did she realize that Hu Liancheng was referring to the video of her and Wu Wenjing and Luo Yanyan every night. She could not help but pout. You also talk about women. Of course you talk too much. Furthermore, Yanyan is anxious alone, and we are also accompanying her to chat so that she does not feel lonely. Hu Liancheng nodded and said seriously, Then I am very lonely now? Do you want to accompany me? Jianyun was stunned and rolled her eyes at Hu Liancheng. If you want to do something bad, just say it. Why are you so roundabout? I said you want to scold me again. Hu Liancheng pretended to be wronged. Isn't that right? Jianyun tilted her head and asked. Hu Liancheng approached Jianyun with a cheeky smile. Yes, of course. So now. Jianyun could not help but blush when she saw Hu Liancheng's eyes heat up again. She could not help but spit. Why are you becoming more and more shameless?